today at the headquarters of Fingal County Council at the last of the 4 planned open days where people can come to find out about the details of the proposal for this enormous sewage plant. In all my experience, I have never seen an open day in Fingal County Council attended by so many people. There is a queue so long that they've had to put marshals in place to control the numbers of people coming in. And there seems no sign of this ending.
Thank you to everybody for coming up today. You're very welcome to go in and sign your name inside and have a look around and see what's going on. There's not much more information than what was given out at the meeting the other night, but make sure that you write your name down and write your contact details so that they'll have to come back to you. There's a bit of a logjam in there, so they're trying to just stop people for the moment, but you will hopefully get a chance to get in there. So if you want to hang on there and just go in dribs and drabs, so just be patient because people want to have a look around. And thank you very much. Oh yeah, Tuesday night in Rush, we're actually going door to door to get knock on doors and get letters. And we want you to collect letters at the community council offices at 7:30 if anybody's free to go and do the necessary at their own thing. And then Lochshinny, we're having a meeting on Lochshinny on Wednesday. Community Centre at 8 o'clock. Ballyboughle on Thursday. Right.
There's quite a body of opinion that says they don't want this waste treatment plant in their area. Lusk and Rush in particular are incensed that this proposal should be planned for them. We'll be talking to some of the people here to get their views on it. Okay, I'm talking to Aidan Corcoran from Lusk. Have you been inside to find out what the plans are?
I've been in on a couple of the meetings alright to find out what the plans are and had discussions with several engineers over it. Expressed our absolute grievances. We are just so disappointed that we're being considered as a sewage treatment plant area to be considered. It's just ridiculous. It's beyond belief. We've got Thornton Prison, we have the Nevet for the super dump, we have a dump that's just closed down, and we have numerous other things that Fingal County Council have decided that they can dump into our community, and we're having it no more.
Can I just ask you, sir, why are you protesting to this sewage treatment plant?
Well, I'm a landowner on one of the proposed sites of Carduff, Lusk, and I object to this site coming to our area. It's not servicing our area. It's not serving, to my knowledge, it's not servicing anywhere to the north of the airport, Dublin Airport, and it's servicing Dublin City, Rathole, Dunboyne, and those countries. I've nothing against those people, but why should all their sewage be coming down into our farmland, the best farmland in Ireland? We provide all the vegetables for Dublin and a lot of the country, and here we are having this 700,000 sewage scheme coming into our area, which is not servicing our area.
Can I ask you, what's your response to what you've been hearing from Fingal County Council?
I'm very disappointed. They really haven't done their homework yet. They're a long way from making a decision that's quite clear, but they seem to be trying to rush it through. I've been asking a number of questions because I live in the Lochshinny area, and everything I get is, well, it might be primary treatment, but we don't know. It could be tertiary treatment, but we don't know. It depends on the cost of where they want to build it. So I said to them, why aren't you building on some of the land that Nama owned that's been repossessed and that the government's got already? Oh, we haven't even thought about that at the moment. So it's very disappointing, their attitude, I think, right here. Right. We see it as a cash cow for Fingal County Council, but they're denying that, and I can't get any straight answers from anybody in this presentation at the moment.
Given that this is the last public consultation day, what do you think is the next move for people like yourself?
I think we're going to have to take to the streets and protest more visibly and more loudly. And if necessary, go to the board. We could take it to the European Commission, I reckon. Why not? We should really elevate this.
Can I ask you, what's your response to what Fingal County Council are planning?
My response is that they're just going to make a holy show of Lochshinny, Rush and everything. If we're not bad enough, we have the air grid in, we have the gas in, and also we have fishermen in Lochshinny that's depending on a livelihood. And Fingal County Council doesn't seem to take that into consideration at all. They just seem to ignore Lochshinny as if we're in the middle of nowhere. And so we're really adamant we're going to stop this.
Tell me, what is the rationale behind this development in the first place? Why is it coming to Fingal?
Okay, the history of this project goes back to a report called the Greater Dublin Drainage Study, which was published in 2005, which took a strategic look, a long-term look at what the drainage requirements and wastewater treatment requirements would be for the Greater Dublin area. And that report made a number of conclusions. One, was that the best thing to do would be to sort of maximise the existing wastewater treatment plants and expand treatment banks like Ringsend, but also to provide for a new wastewater treatment plant. And given that the growth for the Greater Dublin area over the next 50 years is going to be happening in the north of the city, that location should be in the northern part of Dublin. And so that study in 2005 was then subject to a strategic environmental assessment, which looked at the overall environmental impact of sewage treatment and how we could best minimise impact on the environment. And that concluded that one large treatment plant to cater for the overflow from the Ringsend treatment plant, which will probably hit us in around 2020, was needed to cater for 700,000 population equivalent.
But a study based in 2005 was in a vastly different economic climate. The population was growing, we had net immigration, everything has reversed. Is the same rationale justified now?
Yes, and we've re-looked at the figures in relation to this, particularly because we had the census results earlier this year. And what it's telling us is that we will expand as a community, as a population, and we will expand as an economy. The rate of expansion, though, has greatly slowed down. So we still need to provide for this additional wastewater treatment capacity. So the question is, when do we need it? And this plant has a design horizon of 2040, which means we're taking a conservative estimate of population growth of 1.3% over that period, and we have to cater for that because we know population is still growing, and it's still growing in North County Dublin, and we have to plan for a successful rather than a failed economy. And so that, for those reasons, this plant is very much needed.
Now, we've spoken to quite a number of people, and you can imagine the range of concerns and issues and worries that people have. And one point that keeps coming up is that places like Lusk and Rush and Donabate are treating their own sewage, and yet you're planning to build a potentially enormous plant in their area to treat somebody else's sewage. How do you respond to that?
Okay, well, the first thing to say is that 70% of the effluent created by Fingal, population in Fingal, is treated in Ringsend. And when Ringsend gets to capacity in 2020, we need for that effluent to be treated in Fingal. Now, we have done an exhaustive study at this point looking for potential locations within the northern part of Dublin for this facility. And the locations, 9 potential land parcels have emerged, and they are more in the northern part than in the southern part. And that's simply because of the amount of population density, because of designations, because of heritage areas, protected areas, etc., which exclude the development of this plant. So we are looking, at this point, all we know is that there are 9 potential land parcels that might be suitable for the development of this facility, and we're at a very, very early stage, and we've taken those land parcels out for consultation to hear what people's views are and to get an understanding of what constraints and issues should be considered while we take the next step. But it is important to realise that in 2020 there will be 700,000 population equivalent of sewage that needs to be treated from this area. So doing nothing about it is simply not an option. So we're going through a logical, scientific and well-defined process to find the optimum location for this facility so that we can mitigate and avoid environmental impact rather than produce it in 2020 when we have this effluent that we need to treat.
What about the proposition of having smaller local plants serving each individual town rather than one big gigantic plant serving everybody?
Okay, well that scenario was examined as part of the earlier studies in 2005, and indeed as part of the strategic environmental assessment. And the conclusions from both of those studies is that from an overall environmental point of view, providing a larger treatment plant gives you less of an impact on the environment, and so that is where this project really has its origins.
Finally, the reaction you've got from people here today and at the other open days, what do you think people are? What do you think is the general feeling in the population? I think people are very concerned. I think people need and are looking for information, and I hope that they found our information days useful. Our website, greaterdublindrainage.ie, is available, and we also have a low-call phone number, 1890 445567, and we would encourage people to get information at this stage. This is an early stage in the process. A lot of decisions have to be made, and the issues that people are raising, which are very important, will factor
factor into the equation. But we need to be very frank with people, and we are being very frank, that a lot of the decisions in terms of what sort of how we're going to develop this plant, which is one large facility in the North County Dublin, that decision has been taken. So what we're trying to do now is find the best possible location that will avoid environmental impact, protect our water qualities, and provide for economic development of the region into the future.
And is it certain that it'll be one of the 9 locations that have already been listed?
That's a good point, actually, and I never ever nail my colours to the mast in relation to that, because we haven't looked at those sites in detail, and there could be something on each of those sites that mean we have to go back to the beginning. Now, the likelihood is that we have identified, we have identified a lot of the information that's available in terms of archaeology and ecology, etc. But until we do a detailed site assessment, and actually until we produce an environmental impact statement, which won't be for another year and a half, we won't know for sure what site is suitable for this development. But what the likelihood is that we've identified 9 land parcels, and within that we have the preferred site.
And what further opportunities will there be for people to make their concerns known?
Okay, we will be back out to consultation in the first quarter of 2012, yes, where we probably will have narrowed down to 3 potential locations. We will also, at that stage, more than likely have identified an outfall and a proposed route for the pipeline. So at that stage, we will go out for public consultation. And then we will take the results of that and the results of further studies and narrow the results down in the summer of 2012 to the preferred location. That again will go out for comment. Then we will go into the public or the statutory consultation phase as part of the development of the environmental impact assessment, and again there'll be an opportunity for the public to comment at that point also. And the project then will go to An Bord Pleanála for approval under the Strategic Infrastructure Act, and the board is likely to run its own public hearing and public consultation. So we're at early days. I mean, the earliest stage we could even consider going on site for construction is 2017 with a finish date of 2020. So this is early days. It's an important stage in the project development, and I would encourage people to get the information they need and to participate in the public consultation.
Joined now by Councillor Ken Farrell of the Labour Party, a member of Fingal County Council. Councillor, what's your stance on this proposition?
Well, I think that, as you're aware, and most people of North Fingal are aware, that I started the first public meeting in Lusk, which had a snowball effect. And it was great to see that the Rush Community Council then took up the initiative. We now have a public meeting in Lough on Wednesday. The community there has taken up the initiative, and another one on Thursday in Ballybockle. So what we're hoping for, I'm hoping to develop, and we further organise down the line, is a community response to this that has been foisted on the people of North Fingal.
This sounds very much like you're against this proposal, and a lot of people would find that strange, that you're elected to the council and yet you're fighting a proposal that the council is putting forward. How can that happen?
Well, I think that's a reasonable question to ask. You must remember this. I have no sympathy for this council whatsoever, because they had no sympathy on me and other councillors in the rural area when they put 7 sites in their particular area, the shortlist. And I have no sympathy at all whatsoever. This is a thing of a combined reaction of a community response to something that is not a problem for the people of North Fingal, who have been selected over a long passage of time for everything that's undesirable and everywhere else in Dublin and the greater part of Dublin.
Why do you think Fingal has been selected, or has selected itself for this site?
There's several reasons for that, mainly because they see us have a population, a small population out here. Also, they see us as a soft touch. They see the response out here. They don't have the big areas like Castleknock, Malahide and Howth, where you don't see these areas going, or you don't see them going into other parts of. They see it as a soft. They see us as a soft touch, but they also see it as an area of low population density, and they can see it that that's the areas that they want to go in. And they've also used the excuse of having the saying that we have a beachhead which they can pipe. So I think it really is a bit rich to expect the people of North Fingal to accept a waste treatment plant for 2 million people and then pipe it out onto our shores out here, and we're just not going to stand up for that.
So I take it you're going to be fighting this. Will there be a vote on it at some stage?
No, it's completely an executive function. I would see it as being a reserve function maybe 15 or 20 years down the line, where the councillors in Howth, Castleknock and Malahide really I don't really care about North County Dublin. And if we have seen nothing else, we've seen in the last development plan where People who live in North County Dublin who are trying to secure a planning permission for their sons and daughters on sites that they have were refused the permission, and mainly the urban councillors in Castleknock determined that vote. It's a bit rich now to expect them to accept a 2 million treatment plant in their back garden.
Fighting words. Councillor Ken Farrell, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. The plans for this sewage treatment plant seem to be progressing. There's a great deal of uncertainty. A lot of questions can't be answered, but there's no doubt they will be answered in time. We'll be following this story, so stay with Fingal Community TV to find out how this story ends. And there's one thing that's for certain: it's going to be a long, hard road, and it's going to affect everybody in Fingal. For Fingal Community TV, I'm Lorcan O'Toole.